Do you want to see heavy metal comic magazine covers featuring fantastic art by Simon Bisley of bodacious looking females in chronological order from 1992 to 2013? If so, watch this video. As the covers go by, information about Simon Bisley and the history of heavy metal is provided. Simon Bisley is a British comic book artist best known for his 1990s work on ABC Warriors, Lobo and Sláine. Heavy Metal is a science fiction and fantasy comic magazine that was published between 1977 and 2023 and relaunched in 2025. The covers many times feature females in fantastically creative settings. Unlike many American comic books that were published at the time of it first being published, it was not bound by the Restrictive Comics Code Authority. Heavy Metal started out primarily as a licensed translation of the French science fantasy magazine Métal Hurlant, giving many Americans their first introduction to the work of European cartoonists. Métal Hurlant can be translated as howling metal or screaming metal. The founding editors of the American edition of Heavy Metal were Sean Kelly and Valerie Marchant. Over the life of the magazine, the two editors with the longest tenures were Julie Simmons Lynch and Kevin Eastman. Kevin Eastman was the co-creator of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and had grown up reading heavy metal. Work by international fine artists such as H.R. Geiger, Frank Frazetta, and Esteban Morato were featured on the covers of various issues. Many stories were presented as long-running serials, such as those by Richard Corbin, Pepe Moreno, and Matt Howarth. After a 1975 European trip by National Lampoon contributor Tony Hendra expressing interest in European comics, the magazine's New York offices attracted significant European comic material. In 1976, National Lampoon editor Sean Kelly singled out the relatively new French comics anthology Métal Hurlant and brought it to the attention of company president Leonard Mogul, as Mogul was departing for Germany and France to jumpstart the French edition of National Lampoon. Upon Mogul's return, he reported that the French publishers had agreed to an English-language version, and he suggested the title Heavy Metal for an April issue to be released in March 1977. Heavy Metal debuted in the U.S. as a glossy, full-color monthly published by HM Communications, Inc., a subsidiary of Matty Simmons 21st Century Communications, Inc. The cover of the first issue declared itself to be "From the People Who Bring You the National Lampoon," and the issue primarily featured reprints from Métal Hurlant as well as material from National Lampoon and more. In 1980, Métal Hurlant went bankrupt, and Heavy Metal severed its ties with its content partner. Métal Hurlant managed to keep publishing, however, and the two magazines reconciled in 1981. Métal Hurlant folded in 1987, forcing Heavy Metal to expand its reach for new content. Relatively soon after this were changes in the ownership of Heavy Metal, plus going from quarterly to bi-monthly. Then, in 1992, Kevin Eastman bought the magazine. Eastman's publishing entity, Metal Mammoth Inc., published the magazine from 1992 to 2014. Eastman also served as Heavy Metal's editor-in-chief for the bulk of this time, even into 2016, after he was no longer the owner. In 2014, Eastman sold the magazine to digital and music veteran David Boxenbaum and film producer Jeff Krelitz. Eastman continued to serve as publisher of the magazine until 2020 and was a minority investor in the new Heavy Metal, which became at that point published by Heavy Metal Media LLC. In late 2019, Krelitz was no longer with the magazine, which was undergoing leadership changes. In 2020, heavy metal experienced a regime change to CEO Matthew Medney and creative overlord David Irwin, formerly of DC Entertainment. In 2023, issue number 320 was released, and that was the last issue due to challenges the magazine was experiencing. In 2025, Heavy Metal relaunched publication. In 1981, an animated movie titled Heavy Metal was adapted from the magazine, and it has since achieved cult status. In 2000, a sequel titled Heavy Metal 2000, also known as Heavy Metal FAKK2 outside the United States, was released, with the main character Julie being an animated likeness of Julie Strain, who was also the voice for the character Julie. In the near future, do you want more movies adapted from Heavy Metal magazine? Now, onto a quick review of 4 thumbnails of other recent Comic Excitement Convention videos that you may enjoy. Catwoman, I'll Take Manhattan, 6-issue story. Jim Ballant covers and pages. Huntress and Power Girl, can they get back to Earth 2? Scarlett Johansson may play Gilda in 2027 Batman Part 2 movie. She-Hulk as a sci-fi barbarian on savage planet Sakaar. More videos like this one, short and longer, including more videos about Heavy Metal magazine, can be viewed at the Comic Excitement Convention Science Fiction playlist. Please like, comment, subscribe, and click the notifications bell.